So let's talk about the period of time between Rhythm Nation
Hmm.
and Janet. You know, what you were doing, how you prepared for this new album. You know, that whole sort of period when it all began to kind of gel in your mind.
After the album, Janet, I just want to get this clear with you.
No,
You
the
want to start
period,
talking
yeah,
between
after,
putting the album Janet
right,
together.
exactly.
Um, actually, while I was on tour, I started just coming up with lyrical ideas and titles and musical ideas for Janet. So between Rhythm Nation and recording Janet, just things started coming together. As I actually started coming up with the ideas, being on the Rhythm Nation tour, really, and just certain things here and there, what I wanted to do, and just coming up with little different ideas, really. And as time got closer, I bounced things off of Jimmy and Terry, who I produced with, and just put it all together.
How would you characterize the sort of big uh, difference between the Rhythm Nation album and the Janet album in terms of content? I mean, how
The Rhythm Nation album and Janet album, they are completely, I would say, opposite, really. Musically, I did some different things on the Janet album than I did with Rhythm Nation. Always trying to push a little bit, that edge, just having that edge to it, but without going over the edge. And I think that's real important to get as close as you can without losing the public, the audience, and trying to do something new with musically. Like with this time with the opera and the rock that has a funkiness to it, and if that has the two mix, the kind of funk with the, it has an Indian flavor to it, that ding diddle diddle diddle, which is really a sample from Someday We'll Be Together, but it still has that feeling. And when the melody kicks in, it's kind of like a chant, kind of. So just trying to do different things, kind of push the line a little bit.
tell me about the content of If, how it came together, what it means to you, what the words mean.
Basically, all of the songs on the album, uh, I can't write about something that I don't feel in my heart, that I haven't experienced in my life at some point or another. And if is basically, it's about fantasizing, and with all the songs on the album, writing them, it's something it's happened to me in my past, or really my past, or something in the present that's happening. But with if, it's about fantasizing. This girl is fantasizing about this guy and what she'd do to him if they were together. And I mean, I'm guilty because I've definitely done that. And I think pretty much everyone has done that at some point in their lives, whether you were like coming into your teens and started fantasizing, daydreaming about being with a girl or a guy. So it's really where it came about. It's just a past experience.
Tell me about this time and coming to, you know, how you got the idea to use Kathleen Battle and how that all came about, the kind of origin of it and all that.
I first met Kathleen Battle. I think it was '87. I was performing on the Grammys, and she was performing as well. And she went on just before I did, and this incredible performance in this opera diva. And she was so beautiful, and I was in the wings just watching her, thinking how beautiful she was and how incredible her performance was. And when she came off the stage, she came off on the same side that I was on, and someone introduced us. And after seeing her performance and meeting her, I knew that I wanted to work with her at some time in the future, the near future. And this was actually during the Control album. This happened, and it didn't happen with Rhythm Nation, but I really felt it with Janet, and the idea of putting the rock and the opera and kind of funkiness together. And I called her up before I even had any idea musically of what I was going to do, and kind of pitched the idea to her. And I told her, look, if you don't think you're going to hurt my feelings, think about it though, and don't think you're going to hurt my feelings by saying no. And I'm a very big fan. And she said, same here, I'm a fan of yours. And she said, I'd love to do it. And so I said, oh gosh, great, this is going to be great. And she said, well, can you give me some sort of idea? And so I was just trying to explain to her, putting the two together, but I didn't have any music or anything. So I told her that, and I told her the minute I did, I would send something to her. So putting the song together and kind of explaining what she would be doing in the song, and trying to and I'm not a opera singer at all, but trying to do what I thought the kind of the bass line or whatever it is to the opera piece that she's doing, and then what I'm doing. And I'm sitting here, Jimmy and I were running back and forth trying to record and explain everything to her while the music's going on. And it was pretty funny, but she came down and she loved it. And shocking, it's very shocking. Her favorite line is, you run around with those nasty hoes. That's very funny to me, coming from this opera diva. She said she really, really likes this song.
Tell me about the new agenda and the content of it, and how you came to that, and used Chuck, blah, blah,
I, as far as New Agenda goes, I basically did the same thing that I did with Kathleen. I love rap music, and I've always been a fan of Public Enemies. And Chuck D, he is, if not the greatest, one of the greatest rappers. And he's very, very well respected in the rap community, and the kids love him, and they listen to what he has to say, and he definitely has a message. And I called him up. I had never met him. I called him up and told him that I was a fan and I wanted to work with him, and I didn't have the song once again, but he said he'd love to do something together. So I sent the tape to him once I did come up with the idea and for New Agenda, and I sent him the lyrics and the melody and the whole thing, really, except for his part. And then he called me back and asked exactly what did I think fit, how he should come in. And I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to just put the rap in the center, like on the breakdown or at the bridge of the song. I wanted to be kind of like a text kind of throughout, as if he's speaking or to a crowd of people, like he's teaching or preaching in a sense, and basically told him that, and I think he did a great job, and he did his own rap, and we got in the studio and did everything together, and I think turned out very nice. I'm very happy with that.
Tell me, what is the New Agenda? What does New Agenda mean to you in terms of the content of the words of this?
As far as the song, it's basically talking about instilling pride in African American women. New Agenda. We tend to sometimes, a lot of people tend to harp on the past, and they won't let that go. And the way I feel is, okay, we know everything that happened in the past. With the slavery and being oppressed, and let's let that go. It's time for a new agenda. We know what happened. I'm not saying forget. Okay, you know what happened, but let it go. It's time to move ahead and start thinking of how can we overcome some of the issues of today, and keep moving ahead. And basically that's what it's about, and instilling pride in African American women. And what Chuck D is basically saying is for the men to step up and support us in our decision, and the same for the African American men.
Tell me about the origins of Again, what that means to you, and how you came to compose it and so forth.
I wanted to write a song for the film Poetic Justice, and I had an idea for a song in my head, And Jimmy had an idea as well. He had this a couple of chords and things that he showed me, and I really liked it a lot. And I said, let's go ahead and try it. So we basically did it together, really, and writing the lyrics and the melody really is what I did, and him writing the music to New Agenda. Um, like I said, it's something that happened in my life as well, and it also it's pretty much a lot of it's saying what the film what the film is about, and how she is in love with a guy, then she falls out of love, then she falls in love with him again, and def, that's um, that's definitely happened to me a few times, actually, falling in love and then falling out of love and back in love again with that person.
Now, everybody thinks of you, you know, as a performer and a dancer and a singer and all that. But what about a composer? Does it? I mean, because now at this point you've composed a whole bunch of tunes. Does it?
Yes.
Do you when you think of your artistry? Do you think of yourself in terms of a writer? Do you say I am a writer? I'm a composer? How do you?
But do I think of myself? Yes, I do. I mean, I do think of myself as a writer, but I've never sat down and said I am a writer, or I am this, or I am that. It's funny because a lot of my friends tease me because I just say I'm just plain old Janet, the kid who likes to, just have a lot of fun. I, I, um, I love my writing. I never sit down and say I am this or I am that. I love what I do so much, and it, even though it's hard work, it's more fun for me. It really is, than it is work. And I don't think that I've been in this business for 20 years, and I don't think I could ever have lasted this long if it wasn't fun for me, if I didn't enjoy what I was doing. I love it. I really do.
Could you imagine at this point doing an album that you didn't compose to a large degree, in which you weren't part of the creative process?
I don't think I could do an album as to where I didn't compose at least a few things on it. I mean, I would have to be involved creatively. I think by it being my album, it's important for the public to know what I'm feeling at this moment in my life, or everything that they listen to, the lyrics and the melody, that it all comes from me and from my heart. I think it's important for them to know that from me. I mean, other artists do that, and I'm not knocking it at all. That's fine. But for me, I rather for it to come from me than from someone else. But don't get me wrong, I will not turn down a good song. If it's a beautiful melody and musically beautiful and lyrically, I would definitely, and not just that, but it would also have to, there would have to be something special. There's something that I feel or that I can relate to, or say, oh my God, this is like my life, or this is like this time in my life. I can really relate to that. And that's what would really get that song if I didn't write it on the album.
Let's talk about the tour. How does this tour, I mean, what is this tour, what's the big sort of difference between this tour and the Rhythm Nation tour in terms of the image and the look of this, I'm sad and...
It's, the Janet tour is a completely, the set is completely different from the Rhythm Nation tour. Rhythm Nation was very dark and very mysterious, and lots of blues and with the lighting, and except for the escapade and some of the happier songs, some of the more up songs, as opposed to some of the socially conscious songs like Rhythm Nation and The Knowledge and State of the World. Everything was like looked like steel and like a power plant on the last tour. This tour is gaudy. I love his work, and it really inspired me a great deal to want to do something like this. So I got with an art director, art designer, and this is what we came up with, really. And it's completely opposite of Rhythm Nation. It's light and it's more colorful, a lot brighter, more uplifting, I think.
What's it? What's the big uh, difference in your mind between per performing in the United States and taking the tour over to Europe? I mean, what do the European audiences do to you?
Yes, I will speak a different language now. um, the European audiences, it all depends on where you go, really, because even though I haven't performed in Italy, but I've heard a lot about it. I've been there before, but I've heard a lot about the audiences and how they go crazy and they really enjoy concerts, and sometimes that they get more excited and involved than the Americans do, really. And in Japan, they're a little more laid back, but as the show starts going along, they really start loosening up, and by the end of the show, with the Rhythm Nation tour, um, they were standing up and chanting and clapping, and they're more laid back though than here in the States. Um, that's basically what I've heard is Japan and Italy versus the States. Those are a little different.
Do you believe there's like an international vibe to your music? Are you conscious of its how it operates in Europe and England, or
I'm sorry, David, say that one more time.
do you feel as though there's an international vibe to your music? Do you?
An international vibe. Um, I I'd like to think that my music is for everyone, really. There's something on the album that's for everyone. Whether it's That's the Way Love Goes, it's more mellow, more laid back, which Marvin Gaye has inspired me a great deal. And I think you kind of hear it a little bit in the melody and just how the track is so laid back. And there's What'll I Do, which is like the old R&B from the 70s, from the early 70s. And I'd like to feel that there's something for everyone on the album, and that there is a international thing there.
Who do you feel as though have had the biggest influence on you musically and on your music?
Aside from my brothers, who've had a really big influence on me, my brothers, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder. I remember when I was 13, 14, I'd come home from school. I couldn't wait. Between Stevie Wonder and jazz and listening to Marvin Gaye as well, but I'd come home from school and I'd go in my brother's bedroom, and he had this great sound system, and I just put on the headphones and listen to Secret Life of Plants and Flower Power, and he's just a genius. He really is, and his melodies are just so melodic, and I mean everything, the music, lyrically, he's just incredible to me, and Stevie Wonder had a great influence on me as well.
You know, people have called you like a workaholic. Do you feel as though you're out of control when it comes to work in your career and being driven and having to always put together a new album and a huge tour?
I don't think I'm out of control. I do feel that I am a workaholic, though, and there are times when I should slow down and I don't, and then my body starts telling me to slow down, and then I have no other choice but to slow down, really. like I said before, I love what I do, and it just, that passion, it just keeps me going, and I just want to do more and more, and I feel that I will eventually stop when when I feel there's nothing else left to give for me, when I have nothing else left to offer to to the public, to the, the kids who enjoy my music. When there's no growth there, then I will quit. But for now, I'm having the best time of my life, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. I really am.
And tell me about the tour in terms of where is it, you were talking about, like, you want to go to every country in the world practically. I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, your kind of geographic, vision of this tour.
How do I?
I mean, uh, exactly where's this tour going to go? I mean, give us a sort of an overview of the world geography of this tour.
This tour is going to Europe, here in the States, Southeast Asia. Um, I, I, I really want to go to China and perform there, and I really want to go to Africa and perform there. I've never been to Africa. Everyone in my family has, except for me, and I'd love to perform for the people there. Some people have come back to me and said, well, there's not a lot of money in this, and I said, look, I don't care if I don't even make a penny. I want to give them something. It's just like gosh, I hope this doesn't sound arrogant or anything, but just like a gift from me. I just want to be there and experience. I think there's so much to see and experience there, and I just want to be a part of it, even if it's just for a little while, really. For the children, just perform for the kids.
What about your non-working time, your private time? Do you have a hard time just going
Turning
out,
off?
hanging out, partying without being scrutinized and looked under from under a microscope?
It's really difficult to go out. I mean, you're always under scrutiny, regardless of where you are. Even if you think, oh, well, no one's, there's always a reporter somewhere, like a little tabloid reporter, watching every little thing you do, and the kids read it, and a lot of it is untrue, but sometimes they sensationalize things. Well, sometimes they can tend to with the tabloids, and it's just, you have to be very careful about what you do and what you say. I don't let that stop me, though. I go out with my friends, and things can get pretty heavy at times as far as crowds and things like that, but I'm not going to let that, what I do, and keep me isolated. Keep me indoors. I'm not gonna, I've always loved being with my friends, or going out dancing, or going to the movies, just hanging out. I enjoy that time, and I'll continue to do it.
Tell me the story of how that cover, how the cover photograph of you on Rolling Stone came about. A lot of people believe you were manipulated into it, and
Yeah.
just tell the whole story, please.
Actually, the cover of Rolling Stone, a lot of people do believe that I was manipulated, but it was actually my idea. And I got the idea when I was shooting Poetic Justice. I was in San Francisco at the hotel, and I had just gotten out of the shower, and I just washed my braids. And I wrapped the towel around my waist, and when I got out, there's the bathroom is just completely mirrored. The entire bathroom was nothing but mirrors. And my braids were covering my breasts. I was thinking, this would make a really interesting picture, like an album cover or something. And then I just start, basically, no, not here, but just playing around with it, and basically that's what came about is the album cover. No one talked me into. I know a lot of people probably feel that way because they perceive me as being shy, and which I was very shy at a point in my life, not even that long ago. But the film really opened me up a great deal, and I'm not shy the way I used to be, and maybe that's why I was able to. Plus, I'm maturing, really, just getting womanly.
Um, where do you draw the line between, you know, good taste and arity, between good taste and vulgarity? I mean, where do you, because, you know, that seems to be a big issue today, where people stop.
Yeah, that line between class
Mm.
and being classy, and it's a you have to be very careful. Like I said, it's being able to push that without going over the edge. Um, a lot of people do things just to shock the public, and that's not me. I'm not like that. Like I said before, I think a lot of it comes from the heart. A lot of it has to do with that, and it's a thin line. You have to be very careful because I think it's really, if you don't watch yourself, you can do that, really. But I think a lot of it does have to do with just trying to do something to shock the public, and then it gets out of control. Then before you know it, you're trying to top each thing that you do, and you've gone overboard, really. And I don't do that. I do things because, like I said before, it's something that's true to me, very dear to me, and it's happened in my life. And if people like it, great. If they don't, you know, it's me. That they like it or they don't, but it's still me. And I think that's a real important part of it.
Um, Let me ask you uh, one more thing that's always been interesting to me about you. I've never understood where all your drive comes
Comes from?
from. You know, we had talked once about, you know, your mother was competitive, your father, but I mean, do you believe like being a Jackson was the contributing thing for you to being this driven, this, you know, hardworking, this constantly nonstop?
Being a Jackson has a lot to do with that drive. Um, Growing up, seeing my brothers, how hard they worked and all that they did when they were just little kids, just kids, and but still, it was a love for them. You know what I mean? And my parents never pushed any of us into something that we didn't want to do. They always let us make that decision. And if we didn't want to be in this business, we didn't have to be. I am very competitive. I'm even competitive with my own family, but that's a friendly competitiveness, really. I do feel that there's enough room for everyone, but I'm a very competitive person. I think I got that from, well, my dad's like that too, but I think I got it from my mother as well. She's competitive, and it does have to do with being a Jackson and all that my brothers have accomplished through the years, and I think there's a people expect to see what you're going to do. And I think they expect a lot out of you because your last name is Jackson, really, after what my brothers have done. So it's like, oh gosh, I have to really, really work hard, not just because of that, but you should always give your all. And that's what my mother's always taught us, and my father, to always do your best. Give 150%, 200.
Was there a particular moment in your childhood when you know, because, you know, we know you were on those TV shows and so forth, but was there a particular moment in your childhood when you sort of told your self, okay, I am going for it, I'm going to do it,
There was definitely a moment in my life where I said, this is it. I'm going to do this and do it the way that I want to do it, as opposed to trying to listen to this person or that person. Don't get me wrong, I think I've gotten advice from people, and I listen to what people have to say, or if someone has to make a suggestion, I think that's fine. But in the end, it's it's my career, and if anything goes bad, the finger's going to be pointed at me. If anything good happens, the finger's going to be pointed at me. So I think it's important for you to make all the decisions, and it's your career, it's your destiny, and you have to guide that. At that point came, I was doing a show called Fame. I was, what, 18, I think. And I was very unhappy, very unhappy. I didn't like doing the show at all. I was married at that time. I was going through a lot with that. The kids on the show were cool. I didn't want to be there. It wasn't the place for me. I did it for all the wrong reasons, because I was asked to do it, as opposed to, I really wanted to go to college. I just graduated from high school when I started the show. And I finally asked them to let me go. If they would please let me out of my contract, because it was a 3-year contract, and they said yes. So I'm very thankful for it. And that's when I got an annulment, and I said, okay. From the guy that I was with, obviously, and I said, okay, this is it. Sat myself down and said, Janet, what do you want to do? Where do you want to see your career go? What do you want out of life? And that's when I decided to do the Control album, and just basically about my life, really. That album, a lot of things that I went through at that time in my life when I was a teenager, and I recorded that when I was about 18 and a half, 19, and that's when my musical career really started going in the direction that I wanted it to go in at that point.
Has it been harder than you ever anticipated? I mean, the whole kind of full tilt boogie of going after the career.
At times it can seem a little overwhelming, like, oh, so much. And the funny thing about this, I should redo that. This business can seem overwhelming at times. And the funny thing about it is no matter how much you're on the outside looking in, like with my brothers and all that they've gone through, and I've learned a lot from them, it still isn't sometimes as intense as I thought it was until you're really on the inside, really, until you're in the center of everything. So it's like, gosh, being on the outside looking in, wow, that's really something, or that's really serious, or so much pressure, or this or that. At times it can be like that, but when I was on that inside, in that center circle, it can be pretty heavy at times. It really can. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
Did you ever get to the point where you almost quit? Just kind of went?
Ooh, I've never wanted to quit. Like I said, I love it too much. I mean, I think that's the times when my body, like I said before, says, okay, it's time to take just a little break, even if it's just a few days. And just regroup and go for it again, really. Kind of clear your head a little bit. Everybody needs that from time to time.
Let me just ask you one more thing, then we'll quit if they have enough film. And that's, tell me about, I meant to ask you about the initial single off the album, and how you came to choose that as the first song, because that kind of introduced the new Janet, and then
Yes.
sort of talk about that. That's a happy story.
The initial single off the album, That's the Way Love Goes. Pretty much everyone else thought that I should come with If, because it was, real big and it's very aggressive, and they wanted to do a really big video to that, and I thought that was the wrong way to go. I felt that whole, I don't think the public really, I should put it this way, I feel that whole big opening like that was left in the 80s. I wanted to downplay it more. Just slip in. It's like walking into a room, and then eventually everyone noticing that you're there, as opposed to kicking the door down and saying, "Okay, I'm here." You know, it just to ease into it really, and and just let it slide in. And with the groove, it's so laid back and very mellow, very cool, and the response was actually great. I mean, it was a #1 song, and I think everyone's happy with that decision that I made. It was a hit
All
for
right.
me.
Okay, guys. Um, you guys have enough, or you? You're so good. I'm gonna do nothing. Just kind of look at you and you
No, I'm
turn
not,
on the
David. Are
automatic.
you
No, you're
kidding?
excellent and stuff.
Caroline, possibly for you as well.